Like and subscribe to PalsFundamentals on YouTube for more videos like this. Sources linked below. Welcome. This is your North Atlantic Regional News Report. We're covering key political and economic news from Greenland, Denmark, Iceland, and Shetland today.
Yeah, lots happening across the region. We'll jump right into it, starting with Greenland.
Sounds good. So Greenland first. They had that election recently, and a new government's formed, the Naalakkersuisut. Jens Nielsen is leading it.
Right, and this is all happening with, those recurring statements from the U.S., from Trump, about wanting control over Greenland.
Exactly. Premier Nielsen was actually just in Denmark, met with Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen. He had a press conference.
And what came out of that?
Well, he said Greenland's ready to meet with everyone, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to foreign policy, they're united within the Kingdom of Denmark.
Makes sense. Did he mention the U.S. specifically?
He did. Confirmed there's been significant work regarding the U.S. since the election, and it's handled, together with Denmark. And he made a point of saying he hasn't visited the Oval Office.
Ah, clarifying that.
Yeah. And he really emphasized wanting a strong partnership with the U.S., but based on respect. Said Greenland will never be, quote, a piece of property for sale.
A pretty clear statement. And Frederiksen?
She focused more on modernizing the relationship within the kingdom, and she expects respect from all external partners regarding those U.S. comments.
Which is consistent, right? Both the old and new Greenlandic governments and Frederiksen, they've all been quite clear on that point.
Definitely. She said she's generally willing to meet the U.S. president, but didn't give any specifics, no plans locked in.
And just to add context, remember back in December 2024, before his inauguration, Trump put out that statement.
Oh, right.
Reiterating the U.S. view that owning or controlling Greenland is an absolute necessity for security.
Yeah, it keeps coming up. On a different note, King Frederick of Denmark was just in Greenland.
Yes, I saw that. Attended a cafemic in Nuuk, right. Wearing that jacket with both flags.
That's the one. A bit of symbolic diplomacy there, maybe.
Possibly. Now, speaking of Trump and Greenland, there was that NBC News interview recently.
Right, where he again didn't rule out military force in Greenland.
Exactly. He contrasted it with Canada, saying force there is very unlikely. But for Greenland,
he said, we need it for national and international security. Though he also added he thinks military action is very unlikely, still leaving the door open, sort of.
It's definitely a recurring theme. And we should remember there is already a broad framework for U.S. presence there.
The 1951 defense agreement between Denmark and the USA.
Precisely. So there's history there. But his past ideas about, buying Greenland were strongly rejected.
Yeah, by both Copenhagen and Nuuk. Okay, shifting gears a bit within Greenland, there are some public health concerns in Manitok.
Yes, about Arctic foxes. Residents, like one named Jonna Olsen, are reporting seeing them near homes pretty frequently, especially near the sea.
And they're acting aggressively.
Apparently so. Following people, acting aggressive. Kids have apparently fled indoors after seeing them.
And this could be rabies.
That's the concern. Rabies isn't, well, it's not unheard of in Greenlandic foxes. It makes them lose their fear of humans, get aggressive. Sometimes they salivate, foam at the mouth, and even attack.
So what are the authorities recommending?
The usual precautions, really. Avoid animals showing weird behavior, keep distance from all foxes, wash any bites immediately, and get medical help.
Right. Contact healthcare or the VFMG for guidance. And pet vaccinations.
Mandatory for dogs and cats. And also, crucially, stop foxes getting into food waste. Don't leave bins accessible.
Makes sense. Are they taking any direct action in Manitok?
Yeah, the technical administration there has set up fox traps, and one employee has permission to shoot sick animals within city limits.
Just one?
For now. They've applied for permits for 3 more, so a total of 4 could eventually be authorized.
Okay. There was also that story Jonna Olsen mentioned.
Yes, about a car driver actually hitting and killing a rabid fox that was chasing children. She described it foaming at the mouth.
Grim. And just a reminder, rabies is a virus, right? Spread through saliva.
Usually through bites, yeah, or saliva getting into open wounds. And it's serious, potentially fatal if not treated promptly.
So, wash bites, seek medical help immediately, and vaccinate your pets. Got it.
Exactly.
Okay, let's talk infrastructure. Nuuk's new international airport. It opened last November, but there seem to be some teething problems.
That's putting it mildly, perhaps. Significant delays. The average delay for passengers going via Nuuk is 3.5 times higher than for other Air Greenland flights.
Wow, 3.5 times. The airline CEO, Jacob Nitter Sørensen, called it a, what was the phrase?
Voldsom påverkning of trafikken. Basically a substantial impact on traffic.
Why so many delays?
Well, one big factor is the location. It's apparently more exposed to wind and weather than the old airport at Kangerlussuaq.
Ah, okay. So nature's playing a part.
Definitely. But they do expect things to improve. New technology is supposed to help with landings in very poor weather. The CEO hopes to get back to at noenlunde normalt niveau, a roughly normal level for delays in the foreseeable future.
Anything else causing the delays?
Yeah, just staff getting used to new routines at a brand new airport. That always takes a bit of time.
True. And this airport was a huge project, wasn't it?
Massive. Cost over 2 billion kroner. It's the largest single infrastructure investment in Greenland's history.
Who owns it?
It's shared. The Danish state holds 33%, and the rest belongs to Greenland's self-government through Greenland airports.
And there's another one coming soon.
Yep, in Ilulissat. That new international airport is expected to open next year.
Okay. One last thing from Greenland, a crime report.
Yeah, Greenland police reported a pretty busy 24-hour period nationally. Lots of alcohol-related incidents, according to the duty officer, Carl Sverd.
Any specifics?
There was a robbery in Kortok. 2 14-year-olds and an 18-year-old broke into an apartment, assaulted the residents, stole stuff. All 3 were arrested.
Good they were caught. Anything else?
Well, one of the 14-year-olds apparently made threats against the police when he was released, said he'd get rifles and kill officers.
Seriously, at 14?
Yeah, so he was re-detained. Apparently, he was already known to the police.
Okay, what else?
There was a search and rescue operation in Tassilak. A dog sled driver was reported missing, but luckily, volunteers found the person safe and well pretty quickly.
Good news there.
And finally, a reported rape in Nuuk early Friday morning. 1 person was arrested, and the investigation is ongoing.
Okay, a busy period indeed. Let's move across to Iceland now.
Right, Iceland. First up, an unfortunate incident reported at the Blue Lagoon, alleged sexual harassment.
Oh, what happened?
An American couple reported that another tourist, a man, apparently masturbated near the wife in the lagoon and ejaculated towards her. This was around noon the previous day.
That's awful. Who reported this?
Their driver, actually, a man named Jarkey, he transported the couple afterwards, said they were very distressed. They reported it to the reception staff, but the driver felt the response wasn't immediate enough.
So the driver took action.
Yes, he filed a police report in Keflavik because he perceived inaction at the lagoon itself.
What does the Blue Lagoon say?
Helga Arnadóttir, an executive director there, confirmed an American couple reported an incident regarding another foreign tourist's behavior.
Did she address the response time?
She stated the couple reported it as they were leaving, and they left before staff could formally respond. The shift manager did review security footage and identify the man involved.
And was he still there?
No, he was apparently already leaving the lagoon by the time they identified him from the footage.
Did the Blue Lagoon file a police report?
No, because the couple had already filed one themselves via their driver, but the Blue Lagoon says they have all the relevant data, the man's name, video footage, and will give it to the police if requested.
Okay.
And Helga Arnadóttir expressed regret for the harassment, emphasized they take such things very seriously, and said they've collected data, will follow up, and have contacted the couple to offer assistance.
Right. Let's hope it's properly investigated. Also in Iceland, there's some interesting research starting up about immigrants.
Yes, led by Halldór S. Guðmundsson at the University of Iceland. It's looking into the intentions of immigrants, specifically from Poland and the Baltic countries, about where they plan to spend their later years. Stay in Iceland or go back home.
Why is that important now?
Well, the number of immigrants in Iceland is growing, and crucially, the number of older immigrants is growing too, so it has potentially big impacts.
On what areas?
Things like welfare services, pension payments, even tax revenues for the state and municipalities. It's got both social and economic value, this research.
So if they stay, Iceland needs to plan for services. If they leave,
then the economic side changes. Think about pensions. If they receive Icelandic pensions but live abroad, the taxes on that income go to the country they live in, not Iceland.
Okay. Like how some Icelanders retire abroad, maybe Spain or somewhere, for cost of living.
Exactly. The research is looking at similar factors for immigrants' decisions, and there's another layer, life expectancy. Iceland generally has a longer average lifespan than Poland and the Baltic states. So the pension system's calculations might need adjusting to account for these differences if large numbers stay. It affects how long payments might be made.
Significant societal interests at stake, as the researcher put it.
Definitely. The goal is essentially to create models for future scenarios, depending on whether immigrants plan to stay or return.
Fascinating. Okay, let's hop over to Shetland. There was a webinar about autonomy.
That's right, hosted by UHI. It featured John Goodlad, who's, a prominent figure in Shetland's autonomy discussions.
Was he arguing for Shetland autonomy?
He actually clarified he wasn't arguing for it in that talk, but rather presenting the history of the debate, comparing Faroe and Shetland, and outlining some opportunities for greater self-determination.
What kind of opportunities? Did he link it to anything specific?
He mentioned Scottish independence, suggesting it was probably inevitable and could create opportunities for Shetland.
Interesting take. Anything else fueling the desire for more local control?
He pointed to the rapid growth in renewables in Shetland. He felt that happened with pretty limited local input, which has kind of increased the desire for a bigger say in local affairs.
Makes sense. Did he suggest how autonomy might happen?
He was quite clear. It'll only happen if Shetlanders demand it and really advocate for it, not through, the goodwill of Edinburgh or Westminster just handing it over.
Right. It has to come from Shetland itself. Was there any discussion about Faroe relations?
Yeah, Shetland Greens councillor Alex Armitage asked about that. If Shetland got more autonomy, what would it mean for relations with Faroe?
And Goodlad's view?
He said there'd be a world full of opportunities for collaboration if both achieved greater home rule.
People often point to the Faroes model, don't they? That self-governing nation within the Kingdom of Denmark setup.
Exactly. Extensive powers, except for things like defense, justice, currency. It's often cited as a potential template.
Okay. Also from Shetland, quick traffic note.
Yes, police stopped a motorist in Market Cross, Nuuk, near the old tourist information place on Saturday morning.
Yeah.
The driver's been reported to the Procurator Fiscal for quite a list of alleged offenses.
Such as?
Driving without a license, no insurance, no valid motif certificate, and fraudulently altering a vehicle registration mark.
Wow, the full set.
Pretty much. The police seized the vehicle under the Road Traffic Act. Area Commander Chris Sewell put out a statement emphasizing road safety is a priority and driving without documents is unacceptable, poses a risk, and they'll enforce robustly.
Duly noted. Okay, finally, let's turn to the Faroe Islands. We have a summary of a reader's letter.
Yeah, by Hans J. Hermansen, published May 4th. It tackles some socioeconomic challenges facing the Faroes.
What prompted it?
It references a Flag Day speech given in Tórshavn, which apparently touched on Faroes' identity based on reason, knowledge, understanding. Hermansen felt it could spark debate on current issues.
And what are those issues, according to him?
A key one is demographics. The familiar story, really an increasing elderly population and a decreasing younger one. He mentions past concerns about an elderly burden.
But he argues against that term.
Well, he makes the point that society has a responsibility to care for those who built the current wealthy nation. But he does highlight the changing ratio.
How so?
Young people now tend to start contributing to society later, maybe around 23 on average, compared to 16 or 18 in the past. And there are fewer of them.
So fewer people supporting the system in the future.
That's the concern he raises. Fewer people available to ensure the financial sustainability of the nation? He suggests it might even need legislative intervention down the line.
Are politicians addressing this?
He notes there's political maneuvering, debates, adjustments like raising the retirement age, but he criticizes what he sees as a lack of focus on creating new revenue streams.
Any other criticisms?
Yes, he strongly criticizes past practices where funds supposedly set aside for specific provisions were dissolved and just absorbed into the general national budget. He calls it political foolishness and political quackery.
Strong words. He mentions pension funding, too.
Briefly notes that part of pensions comes from Samhaldsfasta, which is funded by employee and employer contributions.
What about other pressures? Housing, workforce.
He gives an ominous warning, as the summary puts it. Housing shortage, plus competition between the public and private sectors for a limited workforce. This leads to needing imported labor, which can increase prices.
And it affects young Faroese people.
Yeah, he observes that many young Faroes who get educated abroad find it hard to return home and contribute their knowledge. Obstacles in the way.
So what's his final message?
It's a direct appeal to politicians. Create a country that actually accommodates all its citizens, young and old. He says it's their unique responsibility to solve these problems.
A powerful call to action from a concerned citizen.
Indeed. Covers quite a range of challenges facing the Faroes.
Okay, that wraps up our regional report for today. Like and subscribe to Pulse Fundamentals on YouTube for more videos like this. Sources linked below.